G'day, mate, and how the bloody hell are ya? Welcome to In the Back of My Head podcast, episode 67. This is a little weekly creative journal. Talk about what's in the back of my head, surrounding creativity, making art, making stuff, what have you. And I state time and time again, the purpose of this podcast, to remind myself the purpose of this podcast, to also take some of the edge off. As is it something I'm trying to grow into a thing, or is it just there to do a job? And the point being to try and make some sense of some shit that's rattling around in my head, and hopefully you'll get something out of that as well. As if I've thought it, you've probably thought it. That is something that is a thought that I stick to a lot in life when making stuff, when trying to say stuff. Be it a point of view in whatever you're making creatively, be it a point that you're making to a mate over a pint. I think often we think to ourselves, that's a stupid thought to say. Well, that's an obvious thing to say. But I think if it's rattling around in your head, then it's probably rattling around in others' heads as well. And there'll be cliches. We get bogged down in the cliches. We get bogged down in the same shit that humanity has dealt with for millennia. Same fears, same concerns. Updated, I think, to interact with such things as modern technologies, the way modern society is set up. But I think for the most part, what are we doing? Where are we headed? How are we going to put food on the table? What's my legacy? Do my friends like me? Do I have a place in society? It's the same shit, forever and ever. Is that troubling or is that comforting? That we're all dealing with the same shit, and that it never really changes all that much. I think it's worth talking about. I think it's worth saying the cliche things that get said again and again. That's why every self-help book kind of ends up saying the same shit that every religion ends up kind of saying, which is be good and be present. Be present right now. Just breathe, take a deep breath, and think only about the present moment. How many times can we arrive at that same conclusion? And every time we're like, oh, whoa, that's a pretty good idea. I encountered that. I listened to the audiobook of Eckhart Tolle's A New Earth. This is maybe 5-7 years ago. Maybe 5 years ago. And it did. It changed my life, actually. It absolutely changed my perspective on living and breathing on this planet. But it's really pretty obvious shit. It's pretty standard stuff. Nothing out of the ordinary. But it was delivered in a way that made sense to my brain at the time. Much like perhaps this will be delivered in a way that makes sense to your brain at the time. It's always worth saying the same shit. And so I state the purpose of this podcast again is to just kind of make some sense of thoughts that are rattling around in my head. And the thoughts that are rattling around my head that I didn't intend to record right now, but I was like stewing. I was sitting there stewing, wanting to work on a thing and incapable of doing that. And so I thought to myself, you know what? I've actually got a tool for this. It's called a fucking podcast. It's just talking to a mic. Say it out loud. Make some sense of it. I was at my ma's place. This is a few months ago. I was at my mum's place, and we were discussing working for other people, discussing being the facilitator of art, friends, children. I think I saw it a lot in her. It's definitely a kind of a maternal instinct that a lot of people have, is that they try and do as much as they can for their children. And my mother, God bless her, has just done just ridiculous amounts of stuff for me and my brother to take care of us, to help us out in life. And I guess I can't ever truly know if she's bothered by doing that stuff. But knowing her and knowing myself, it brings great joy to help people in life, to help them do stuff. And she's very much the same as me when it comes to helping others create things. Growing up, I remember her working in like festivals and art shops, bookshops, music stores, help run little gigs and things like that, help me run gigs, all kinds of different things. And seeing the incredible amount of work, the incredible amount of extra work, above and beyond work that you have to do to help these projects get underway, actually follow through with the initial plan. It's kind of always the case when it comes to making art and to putting on events, especially to putting on festivals, putting on anything, is an insane amount of work in the background, usually pretty unseen and underappreciated. And the people who I think do that stuff kick themselves constantly, being like, you fucking idiot. You should be getting paid properly for this. You should be not sticking your neck out constantly for other people. You should not be working yourself to the bone for other people. But for the facilitators, those who have a desire to do that sort of thing, it's kind of just non-negotiable. It's gonna happen. You're gonna do it. It's a need. It's a desire. It's just sort of a purpose that you have found yourself in. And I feel that. It's what running Vibe Union's all about. It's what helping people put out albums, run events, doing artwork for people. This is not like, oh, woe is me. This is like, I have a need to do stuff to help other people achieve the thing that they want to achieve. This is mostly referring to art, be it some free mixing or mastering, be it some free promotion, be it a lot of admin work. I love admin. I love doing admin work, so I do a lot of admin work for people for various things, just for the fucking hell of it. I guess because I see that, like, if that part doesn't happen, which is the part that people hate, then maybe it's not going to happen. And that scares the shit out of me. I can't have it not happen. If someone wants to do the thing and they're stuck on this part that I can easily do, oh, fuck me. It has to happen. I see no other option. If the other option is the thing not existing, then by God, I'm going to do it. And it fucks me over in terms of, like, yeah, making money. I have no fucking money. I'm more broke than I've ever been. The other day, I had $20 to my name. And it's funny that, like, I often feel very lazy. I feel like a very lazy person when it comes to, like, going and doing a job. But then I also recognize that I'm one of the hardest working people that I know. But it's not out of I'm just doing it because I'm on that grind. I'm on that fucking hustle mindset. Far from it. Absolutely the opposite. It's almost just a lifestyle. It's just a fun thing to do. I haven't got money. I've got time. I've got a lot of time to spend. And I spend it just doing stuff that I think will help other people, mostly, to do stuff. It's the purpose of Vibe Union, especially running open mics. That's why if it's a busy open mic, I'm not getting up on stage. I'm not taking time from other people. Come on, what are we talking about? This open mic is for other people. Vibe Union is for other people. It's a thing that I'm capable of doing. It's a thing I'm capable of doing is putting on some events. And so it'd be silly not to. But then the other side of this, and the reason that I got talking about this today is because I have music sitting there that I need to release at some point soon. And I'm kicking myself, I'm frustrated with myself on this one because I don't have the capacity. I don't think I have the capacity to give it the time of day that it deserves in terms of marketing, actually getting it out there, getting it in front of people. I was chatting to a mate moments ago before I started recording this, and he said, organic growth is great, but that comes from a seed being planted, and that seed being planted is getting it in front of people. I was like, yeah. That's fucking spot on. But getting it in front of people is getting it in magazines and playlists and putting a bit of cash behind it. And I have no cash. And that's where the laziness comes in. You think, oh, well, you should go get a fucking job, you goddamn hippie, make some money, and then put that back into your music. But I think the thing that I'm really struggling with and toying with at the moment is the idea and maybe the realization more and more that, like, if you want to really make something of yourself in the music industry as an artist, then you actually need to put in a lot more than I am ever capable of. I'm very prolific. I've made a shitload of music. I've never once put money behind a release. Maybe at max I've put like $50 in to push a YouTube video or something like that. But I've never put money into a release, and I think that's absolutely my downfall. And it's not so much about the money, but it's about the capacity, the mental and emotional capacity to actually go and do that kind of stuff. Or like I see people who are just on their open mic grind. They are just hitting open mics 3 or 4 times a week. You see that especially in the comedy scene. Most comedians that I meet that are like really fucking pushing it will hit up 2 or 3 open mic nights in a night, jumping between each one. Do a little 5 minutes there, 5 minutes there, 5 minutes there, fuck off. And then the next night they do it all the same again. And I go, wow, that's crazy. I don't have that. There are other ways, I think, to achieve these same things in the world of comedy. Yeah, you could fucking have a hit of a TikTok. Cool. And with music, there is other avenues. You can do it organically, accidentally almost. But that's the thing. Then it's just luck. You still need good tunes. You need some good tunes for that. But I think at that point, then you are relying so much on luck that the thought of like, how am I going to get this in front of people? Well, if you aren't capable of hitting the open mics and putting the money so you can get into magazines and playlists and what have you, then maybe you should just drop it, mate. And I'm not saying stop making the music. That's not at all what I'm saying. But comparing yourself to the artists that you almost certainly idolize who are at the top of the pile, and you're looking at them and go, how do I get my music into the same number of ear holes as those motherfuckers? Well then, but you're incapable of taking that path. I don't know, mate. Is there a point then that you go, well, maybe I'm making music for a different reason. Maybe I'm doing this for a different reason. And I've been having this thought a lot over the past, like I would say a year or maybe more years, maybe many years. But I don't think I've got it. I don't think I've got that type of brain or drive to do that kind of shit. Because there's a sentiment online, sentiment among many, that you should absolutely be treating your music, even in the early stages, as a business. Putting cash behind it, putting a lot of kind of hustle energy behind it. And on one hand, I think good to give the music the attention it deserves and the energy it deserves to get out to the people. But on the other hand, it makes me think of that adage like, careful of turning what you love into a job because you'll end up resenting it. Now, if I turn what I love by just sitting at the desk and just chilling, drinking tea and working on my computer, doing some drawings and like doing some graphic design and doing some book editing work, that kind of stuff, that little bit of freelance work, I've been really, really fucking enjoying that lifestyle. I have the mental capacity for admin work and for facilitating other people in the ways that I am capable of. But music promotion, be it for an event or for myself, feel my heart stop. It feels like that homework. Thinking back to school when you had some homework to do and you know it's fucking piss easy and you're gonna do it in the last 10 minutes before class, but you look at it and you just, oh no, you're incapable. There is a massive roadblock and you know it's easy and your parents will say, it's fucking, come on, just do it. If you just do it, then it's done. And you're like, there's something else going on here. It's not about the work. There's an emotional attachment to this that I cannot get past. I cannot move on. And that's sort of how I'm feeling with music promotion as well. Is that I just don't know if I can get past that roadblock in my head. And so then that makes me start to think like, yeah, is this saying that I just don't have the capacity to do that kind of thing. Not to give up on music, but to give it a much simpler purpose, which is simply to exist for the fun of making it. Which is, of course, the simplest answer that I think, and it's a very romantic answer. Oh, they just make it because that's what their soul desires to do. And I think that's obviously where it starts, but you get stressed out by like, oh, what am I going to do with this though? What am I going to do with it? Maybe you don't need to do anything with it, mate. Maybe you just fucking put it out. I'm going to speak. I know he listens, because I'm going to speak to the person that I know personally who has, maybe the only person who has greater output than I, who is more prolific than I, and that is Nathan Abbey. Nathan Abbey, how many albums have you released this year, mate? 6 or 7? Out fucking rageous. It could be more than that. Man's a machine. And I asked my partner, who knows Nathan better than I do, he's like, how does he see his music? How does he see it going out there into the universe? And she said, well, that's kind of exactly it. That's his way of communicating with the universe. Now I'm speaking through several people and for several people. If you're listening, mate, I'm sorry that if I've misquoted you or if I've misrepresented you in any way. But that idea of just, this is how I'm communicating with the universe. These things have to be out. My soul demands that this is material that just needs to be out there. I feel quite similar. With music, I feel quite similar. I think to the idea of like getting on bigger stages, putting in the work to put the band together for my personal project of this hip-hop band, the actual labor of putting the band together and getting on stages and, you know, hitting up a bunch of people to like, I want to fucking support you and I want to get in magazines and yada yada yada. And I just, I freeze up a little bit. I'm like, do I want that? No, I like being on stage. I like performing. I really enjoy it with other projects that I get to rock up and be the bass player. And lordy, if I got to be the person that, you know, went and did if I was just a rapper in a band, which I sort of am in this, fucking fantastic. But the emotional labor of actually like pushing this project to be a successful public thing is maybe not in my wheelhouse. There's a lot of admin in the background that needs to happen, and I'll gladly do that, but there's an emotional side, there's an emotional fire that you maybe need to have that maybe I don't have, and that could come and go. That might return. Did I ever have it? I'm not actually entirely sure about that. Looking at the number of projects I've put out and how little attention they've ever received is maybe evident, not of the quality of music, though certainly in the past, in the early days, yeah, the music was pretty shit, but perhaps later on, the lack of interest is a sign that, yeah, maybe I just never really had that drive. And I think we'll get, you know, kind of bombarded on Instagram and everywhere else of like, well, that's just part of it, mate. You just got to put in that work. I said, for what though? Obviously, I want ears on it. I want people to listen to my shit. I want to play some cool gigs. I want to feature with other people. I want to work with other people. I want to be on some bigger stages, yada yada. But do I actually like the idea of all that? Or is it exhausting to even think about it? I've spoken before about lifestyle, that I think finding what lifestyle works for you is really important. And I think about that with myself a lot on here, that like, do I live at my desk for the reason of that I am just a bit of a social recluse, that I'm a bit of a nervous, anxious little lad that struggles to get his face out in front of people? Potentially. Or am I genuinely so goddamn happy waking up here every day, quietly making myself a coffee, watching some YouTube, having some breakfast, chilling at my desk and doing some bits and pieces, making some work, making some art, and then I go and have lunch, And I go back to my desk and do it some more. And then the day ends and I go, hell yeah, that was sweet. I ate the same thing that I do every day. I did the same shit that I do every day. And every day I'm like, this is awesome. This is great. Not a day goes by when I'm in this room and I don't go, this is fantastic. I love the lifestyle of it. I like being a recluse. I like just making shit. It does make it difficult to make money. I'm fucking terrible at making money. I'm apparently allergic to making money. But if I can figure out that aspect and I get to just hang out in here, then I'm a fucking hunky-dory. I'd be intrigued to see if you have counters. Do you think I'm just in my own head? Do you think I'm just being a scared lad who can't be bothered putting in the work to put his stuff out there? Am I kidding myself? Do I actually want to be on those stages? Do I actually want to be famous as a musician? Is that a goal that one should have? Is that a goal one should have? I love the side of the internet that is everyone just journaling. Everyone's just putting out stuff and going, hey, I made a thing, if you like it, fucking sweet. But I'm going to do it regardless. And I think in the back of my mind, I'm still like, oh, you're beer. But we're all kidding ourselves. We're all secretly just waiting for that moment when someone discovers us and blows us up. And I probably am. I think that's somewhat true. I think that is somewhat true. But then music is probably not the avenue. If that's how my brain works, if I'm very capable of doing this kind of shit, I love doing this kind of shit. Recording podcasts, clipping them, doing some graphic design, doing some book editing work, all kinds of different things I can do sitting here that is actually more tailored for the platforms that I enjoy sharing on. Instagram's rubbish for sharing music on. It's really not the place to do it. Yeah, then maybe that's a good idea to pivot a little bit more. I'm not that I'm pivoting all that much. I'm a magpie. I'm moving on to the next shiny thing all the time. As is every artist online. Come on, what are we talking about? But then maybe it's okay to, just kind of like, again, not give up on music, but give up on that being the thing. Just put it out to communicate with the universe. And to communicate with yourself. Much like this podcast. Just a little beacon, just me shouting into the void, just me putting down some thoughts. Trying to make some sense out of my brain. I hope that any of that helped you make sense of your brain. What do you want to do? And what are you capable of? And what are you incapable of? That is totally fine to not be doing. The purpose of this podcast is to make some sense out of my mind. The purpose of this podcast is really, though, to encourage you to make some shit. Just put some stuff out there and don't worry about it. In one sense, I feel like I'm crippling people. This is a genuine thought that I've had. Am I crippling people by encouraging them to not take it too seriously and just push shit out? Because I'm encouraging them to do what I do, which does not get attention. Because I don't promote shit. I am incapable of promoting shit properly. And I'm encouraging you to do the same, and that's actually just going to cripple you as an artist. That's a thought that I have. That's a real thought that I keep having. But if the other option is it doesn't exist, then first step is just putting it out. First step is making the thing, mate. I'm not sure. I genuinely am not sure what I think of all this. This is a conundrum that I'm constantly wallowing in. I think just put stuff out for the fun of it. And I hope to Christ that you can figure out a way to make some cash so you can live and have a good little life. I don't know if I actually believe that, but that's what today's episode's about. That's the end of the podcast. On that note, if you like what I'm doing, chuck me a couple of bucks on Patreon. Help your boy pay rent. If this is bringing you any sort of value, or don't, share it. Share some clips. Can you promote me for me? Thank you so much. That would actually be amazing. Like and comment, Counteract me. If you got some thoughts on this that you think I am full of shit, please comment at me and I'll respond in the next episode if it's a decent fucking comment, mate. Be well. Don't ever change. Or change a little bit. Do whatever you want. I love you very much. Speak to you soon.